this episode of the Elite Question Askers. I am Jason Wells.
I am Mo Williams. I'm Teacher Taylor.
It's a real deal here. Yeah. Obviously, this is our first podcast recording with the three of us here together, and we got the crew. We'll talk more about what we're gonna do, but first, let's just get introductions. We literally got the whole crew, so let's start over here. Let's round it out.
Kareem Horton.
Kareem, what you do, bro? Where you at? Where you from? What we doing, son? Why you here, son?
Owner of IBA International Basketball Academy, player development.
Yes, sir.
Okay, not me.
Dalton Dietrich, graduate assistant, Indiana State University.
Yes, sir.
Bryce Crawford, assistant coach, Utah State.
Marlon Gill, Binghamton University.
Kareem Richardson,
This guy.
assistant at Clemson.
Okay, Rich, you got great posture, brother.
Thank you. Let this wall keep me right.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, so we are here. Obviously, those that listen, those that know, those that follow, subscribe, like, plug, know that the Elite Question Askers as a podcast is myself, Mo, and DT. But here we are in Final Four. We literally just got finished watching the semifinals game. We watched Kansas win. We watched North Carolina win. Fellas, it's been a weekend, and the reason I felt like this would be a cool environment is because, yes, we're all together, but we all got like different experiences. Dalton, I know this is your first Final Four. You got guys that have seen Final Fours in different facets, from head coach to assistant coach, trainers, like it's around the board. Assistant coaches from different levels, been doing it for different years. Fellas, we're gonna do it the same way, and most of us, except for Bryce, most of us are used to this anyway. So we're gonna do it the same way we start our other calls: fist bump moments. And for Bryce, so a fist bump moment is, we say within the last week, but in general, just something that you would celebrate of yourself that you might not typically celebrate. So you don't have to go first, but that's what a fist bump moment is. You don't have to share, but anybody got any fist bump moments that you want to share for this episode?
Hey man, I'm gonna go first.
Yeah.
Getting with all you guys, man.
Can you talk to the camera more?
I didn't know who was talking to you.
Volume wise. Volume. Use your leadership voice.
I need you to talk like you in New York.
I'm not gonna do that.
So you're not going to say your son?
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm past that.
Okay.
I'm in a different phase of life right now.
Fair enough.
But the fist bump moment for me was just being here with all you guys, man. Obviously, we've been on Zooms for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But now to have a chance to get together in person, kick it, it's family, but now it's like that reunion. That I get once a year. Y'all can't wait to go see such and such. That's what this was for me. So
I'm gonna take. Yeah. I'm gonna take it as a real fist bump. Let's get it. That's a good fist. Appreciate that, man. Anybody else?
I think just kind of back on Marlon, right? I've actually heard about a lot of you all in different facets, right? You've actually from Matt,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you guys from Mo, but just like being a part of brotherhood, man, and like not knowing y'all, but feeling loved and welcomed right away.
Yeah.
That's a really special thing. You don't always find that. It's certainly not instantaneous.
Sure.
That's a special thing.
Sure.
I ain't doing no fist bump?
I mean, I was.
I didn't know it was God.
There you go. Way to call him out, baby. Call him out.
Accountability.
You acting brand new.
I'm gonna definitely go in, and obviously a couple episodes ago I was out in California, and DT and I were sitting next to each other,
Now it's the Lone Ranger.
still on Zoom with Mo. And it's funny, man, because when we dapped up and hugged the other morning, it was funny because the cast that you were with still had no idea that was our first time meeting. What? Like 2.5 years almost of us talking. So yeah, this and like this has been over a year in the making, man. So fist bump moment, and then last thing with that, like it's literally everybody. You got these guys who are new close friends. I got 20 plus over here, almost 10 plus with Reem. Just across the board, man. Like you said, Bryce, the brotherhood is real. Yeah. Like, see how y'all do it. See how y'all do it. Anybody else? Fist bump moments?
I'll go next.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I got two. My first one is just being in this space, but having a different title with it. And I was eating with a guy that I've always admired doing this. Like, he didn't even know when I was a young assistant. And Dalton, that's what I was saying to you. Like, I slept in tubs, slept on floors. Like, enjoy this moment. Like, the fact that I was able to buy you something. Like, for me, that meant a lot to me. With this guy, just spending time with him, and something I said to him was, there was a young assistant that came up to me, and it was my first time ever meeting him. And he said I made him feel like the most important person of the whole weekend. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was like, I get that from my dad. Like my dad, I never saw him, whether he was tired, whether like he didn't want to be bothered, he made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. Mm-hmm. So when that dude said that to me, I knew like my job it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. I was in a head coaches meeting with our level. There was only 2 other people that looked like me. So like I realized like me sitting in that room is more than me just wearing a polo. Like I'm representing some people that are younger than me that want to be in this seat. Yeah. And this weekend taught me that. Like that taught me that. The fact that I'm approachable opposed to, is that him looking on a website, but I'm not gonna talk to him, So like that meant a lot to me for that dude to say that. And then I'm gonna actually try not to be emotional.
Uh-oh.
But if I do, whatever.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Somebody cutting onions.
Somebody's cutting onions. But obviously, Bryce and I grew up, like we grew up, I always say we grew up together, went to high school together. So I always say like, this is our time to reconnect. But like that COVID time, it like had us all like shaken up from our daily routines. And like to connect with you, like obviously I talked to you from afar, like, but you two, like, y'all just had no idea how much we bounced off of each other during hard times. Mm-hmm. Like, when we were having challenging times at home or with our teams, like, I had people I could go to, and it was never like any judgment. It was really like that image I talked to you about that you show us where that mask is off. And it's like, again, I realize that it's bigger than me. And it's like, how can I show up and give that to other people that may not be ready to come outside of themselves and say, hey, I'm struggling or whatever. So those are my fist bump moments. It's actually physically touch and see you guys. And then just to get that compliment from a young coach that has been texting me for years, and literally he said, you made me feel more important than anybody has this weekend. So I didn't cry. But if I was,
that's a safe space for that. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Anything? Chime in. Long distance fist bumps. So let's do this. So keeping the same pattern that we do with the show. So fist bump moments and then ignite question. Fellas, my ignite question would be this. And I'm notorious for this, so I'm gonna put the time limit on it. But shut up. 60 seconds or less. Wow. Recap your experience from this past. Most of us leave tomorrow. It's Saturday night. Most of us leave tomorrow. Recap your experience of this is my whatever it is, Final Four, whatever, and this is what I got out of it. Because I think that'll be a great catapult into, or ignition, if we're using the word, a great ignite into the conversation of, like, man, this is such and such. K. Rich and I was talking about it the other day. We were here officially. I don't count Atlanta, whatever that was. Mm-hmm. Definitely don't count the one that you won, plug. But here, 03. And we walking last night trying to find food on Bourbon Street, and both of us looking at each other like, damn, dog, this used to be the shit. This ain't it. So 60 seconds or less, just like kind of like your recap of the past couple days and how this shows up for you. It don't no particular order. No particular. I got you, man. If I say 60, that'll keep it in there.
I'm gonna go real quick. I'm gonna talk louder too. So for me, this was Final Four number 16. And a lot of times I get caught up in, at 38 for this to be number 16 for me, it's crazy. But what I did this year, kind of what you said, Mo, now I'm on the other side. I'm a vet now, right? So for me, I wanted to reach out to 3 young dudes and just let them know, hey, this is what you want to do when you come out here, the same way guys did for me. But one thing that really stuck to me was a guy by the name of Pat Fillion that passed away a couple of years ago. Actually from COVID 2 years ago. And I never forgot, every time I seen him at the Final Four, he would just give me 2 minutes. And I'm like, yo, I'm an old head now. I gotta get a young fellas 2 minutes. So to go with what you said, that's been my thing with this Final Four. I'm gonna find the young dudes, yo, take my number, call me whenever. A couple people might be pissed because I pick up the phone at whatever point in time of the night, but I'm obligated to do that because the older guys did that for me. So I was less than 60.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's my
No
joint.
doubt. Appreciate that.
Legally binding.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
It's just a little framework. It's not legally binding.
Y'all be the first one to talk for 5 minutes after I say 60 seconds.
Just to make sure you don't go too far.
I'm conscious of it.
Anybody else? What you got, man? What number is this, and how have you shown up at this particular Final Four?
I'll go. This is Final Four number 2, if you count Atlanta.
Yeah.
But my 60 was having one of the players I coached in high school playing in the 3-on-3. He's graduating, I still look at my phone. I have his picture when he was a freshman, a little, face and everything. And I looked at him yesterday. I'm like, man, this dude is a little grown man now. Like, did grad year, did 4 years at, Duke, graduated, and had success, very high level success for what I deemed when I seen him as a freshman, didn't know that he would even be anything, and just show to his dedication and his work. And even though I've inspired him, and we have conversations constantly, he's inspired me. He's inspired me to say, hey, the impact that I made in his life, and just being able to see him grow as from a young boy to a young man. That's what this is all about, really. Us coaching young men and developing young men and seeing their progression to wherever they're at. So, being able to come here and then obviously kick with y'all and hang out and have those experiences with guys that you normally see, from afar, up close. So that was my moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
Love it. Appreciate that, bro.
I'll go next. For me, it's Final Four 24.
Damn.
I'm old man.
Going before I was born. I wasn't even born yet.
You do not need that. Always bring that up too. You know me the youngest. Damn, blasted. Yeah, Final Four 24. But for me, it's I don't know if you want to call it maturation, but just how over time, for me, how it's changed from used to going to play pickup, like getting guys together playing pickup basketball, now to a more influential of kind of seeing, like adult and just being able to connect guys in a different way. So early in the career was connecting guys through basketball, like we go play pickup games, and now it's literally introduction, Dalton to D and Jay and all of this stuff, and then seeing these two guys together. So, and just having different guys being able to connect has been really powerful for me. And not to get too sentimental, but just like, and no disrespect to anybody else sitting in here, but seeing D's success this year has like been outstanding. Obviously the struggles that we all go through, have been through, but then to see him conquer, going back to the NCAA tournament, and then seeing my guy Jay Wells with the success, and to see his platform take off to another level, and then to see these two guys do it together, for me is it's just been super dope, and seeing these guys in a whole different light, just igniting and introducing guys in a whole different frame has been really super for me.
I'll jump in. Year one for myself.
Yeah.
Drove 10.5 hours down from Indiana. Came in no expectations. I'm on a air mattress with like 4 other guys right now. Just thugging it out. We're on. I mean, whatever by any means.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do.
You're right. You're right. This is kind of the first one.
An elite one.
10 other guys on the air mattress.
No, four.
4 other guys on the air mattress.
10 hours.
Technically,
10 hours was 4 guys on the air
Four guys
mattress.
on
It was a
Combination
bro.
of statements.
Yeah.
10 hours.
But how many are on the
air
air
match.
mattress?
They're
They're
technically 4 on there.
Yeah. Thank you.
So how many are on the air mattress?
Two.
2 guys on the air
Yeah.
mattress.
Two
Yeah.
per
You guys on one air mattress?
Yeah.
That's
Hey. You gotta do what you gotta do. Nobody's in the tub.
Yeah.
Nobody's in the tub. I came in with no expectations, so.
Yeah.
Well, Dawson, like, so piggyback question, and this is all still pointing to your experience, though. Like, 2 weeks ago on our call, who's coming to the Final Four? You were a no, and then 2-3 days later, it's yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do this, and just knowing what I know about your story, leaving Terre Haute, going to meet your mom, get your mom's car, so you don't have to drive your car, still driving 10 hours to get here, to sleep on an air mattress, to thug it out, you know what I'm saying? Knowing that expenses are expenses, whatever they are, you know, like what was your commitment to do that? Because before it was, man, I don't want to go down there and just be brown nosing like I feel everybody, which is a fair statement. What was your thought process in changing from where you were to where you at?
I'd say it's a couple of factors. One, I mean, I graduated in May. I could be out of the business in May, June. So, I mean, I love this game. I love being around in any form. And then second is I've never even been to NOLA. So I'm driving, I'm calling dudes like, man, I just passed through Alabama. I've never even been through Alabama. I'm passing through Mississippi. I've never been through Mississippi. Like, just things like that. And I can't pass it up. Like, just being around this. And one thing I was going to say for my moment was like, you see a lot of like the 2-minute handshakes and high fives and like, hey, how you been? I come around you guys and like he spoke of, like Bryce spoke of, man, it's a brotherhood. Like, wherever Jay goes, DT's right there. Mo's right behind. K Rich, I'll catch up with you later. It's like a real brotherhood, real atmosphere, and it just made me feel good about like those Zoom calls. They matched up with the actual actions in person. It's like, just makes you feel even better about it, that you're around good people, and good people bring good people into your life.
Come on in.
Is that what they enter the message?
No.
On my 10 and a half, I binge watched the lead question answer.
Yes,
all right, so perfect segue. I don't really have a whole lot of questions. I want the questions to come from the conversations, but I'm gonna start off with this. I've been shaking hands. I told DT and Mo, but specifically DT, same thing, Dalton. You year one, and I'm really year one. This is year I think 4, maybe 5, but with a real intentionality on this one. Like I'm starting this business, and there are people that, yeah, I can shake hands or even what's up, Jay Wells and all this, but all of a sudden, who you're being introduced by changes conversations. So, but it's a whole bunch of, what's up, dude watched it today. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you, man. I'm gonna hit you up. I don't know who the hell that was. How do we in this situation, and Mo is notorious for this, how do we in this situation that we in eliminate the bullshit conversations and get in depth? So our challenge 24 hours ago was, nah, man, I ain't gonna just talk about it and say, hey, man, how you doing? You good? I'm gonna hit you with, yo, what were you most challenged with this year? And have a real conversation, but real conversations don't happen in this space. Like, how do we get other dudes to know that this space is a reality of, it don't have to be just superficial. That's for anybody, especially with vets.
I'm gonna take that again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with what you said, K Rich, right? So this year, 24,
Yes, sir.
what you touched on, guys used to connect through playing on the court, right? That was our time. I don't even know what that looks like. Cause I think like when guys my age got into this, all of that stopped, right? Of, yo, we going over to such and such gym from this time to this time. And that's when you felt the real connection. So by the time you got to the convention center, it was, yo, where you going tonight? Yo, it was good hanging out with you yesterday. Hey man, let's get together, and it meant something. Now, like you said, it's just, hey, how you doing? Yo, call me. I don't know. Not a curse. Sorry. I don't know you, right? And it took the realness out of it, right? So I admired, you know, when I got into this, I admired guys that were in your group, right? Because that showed me what it was supposed to be. Now, obviously, things change when money gets involved, right? And it's like, all right, well, I don't really want to tell him what it really is, because now if I tell him what it is and he gets on and he surpasses me, then I'm gonna have a problem with that. I think all of that stuff factored into what you just said, the little 2-minute conversation at the convention center that is not real, right? Like I looked at, like when we hooked up at the convention center, it was like, yo, Jay, you here? All right, cool. Yo, Mo, you here? Dog, you here? Or me and you talking last week, DTO, hit me when you get off the plane. And I literally felt like, all right, yo, I gotta make sure I hit these dudes up when I get here, because if I don't, it's gonna be a problem. But you know, we all know guys that, yo, call me. Dog, I don't even have your number.
I don't even know who you are. I don't even know your name.
Right.
Who am I calling?
Right. So
Yeah.
this is my 2 cents, man.
Yeah. Anybody else piggyback?
Yeah,
Add,
I
share?
mean, as you're saying that, right, and sort of listening to you, Kareem, and you brought like real relationships really happen and develop when there's something to give and when you're willing to give, right? And oftentimes in this setting, and any time like when we're talking about networking, right, and not like relationship building, it's about taking, right? Or it's about like how can I really just gain for myself, right? There's not this reciprocity. It's more transactional. Right, and then when the transactional is like really important, right? When that rules, the relationships are quite shallow, right? And there can't be the depth. Right? Jay, as you were asking the question, I was thinking, not to say that we can't hang out over drinks and hang out and do all that stuff, but like when we're doing that, when it's loud, right? When you can't, we're not even oftentimes in an environment to pose some of these questions, right? To have our thoughts provoked, right? Because we're distracted. Right, or we just have noise, right, or whatever, or things are so brief, right, where all we can do is shake hands, right, like to be able to have time, like for us, like one thing I was thinking about when we went to the BCA thing today was like they were talking about young coaches. I think that's so important, and why couldn't we have a situation where we got like dudes that are more experienced, right, and we have one at a table. And then we have 4 younger dudes together. So not only can they hear and talk to and ask questions, and then also be able to express themselves with the older dude, but then also be able to connect them with each other.
No doubt.
But like the thing I missed out when I was first doing this was like I wasn't connected with my peers. You know what I mean? And those are the people that are going to help me most. Those are the people like we can actually have genuine relationships with, and we can actually talk and like hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like my cousin doesn't, hey, he's not kicking it with me in the Final Four, right? And that's what I was thinking. Like how am I gonna rub elbows with this guy? But in reality, like I needed to be kicking him with all of them. You know what I'm saying? And like that was so much more valuable.
B, I'm listening to you, and as we sit here in the living room of this space that me and my family are in,
Shout out, please.
Somebody
Oh yeah, come on over here, birthday boy, come on, this way we gonna capitalize, come on, one birthday, other birthday boy you can come to. Come on, jump in the camera. So for anyone who is, you can do this. Damn, oh man, I know my knees got all this. So these are the Wells boys. For those of us that are on camera, this is Jalen. His birthday is today as we record April 2nd. He just turned 15.
Yeah.
And this is Jaden, aka Tiger, who turned 12 2 days ago. So like literally this is the why. So y'all hear me talk a whole lot about the purpose and the why and the spelling of my name. This is the why. So appreciate y'all. Y'all can leave now. So, but fellas, as we sit in this space, we just watched the game on the TV that arguably was too small, according to anybody's standards. But we enjoyed the space. We chopped it up. We talked a little bit of basketball. We doing this now. Like Bryce, like you just said, like this environment created an opportunity for us to be able to connect in a way that we typically, outside this wall, this going ham.
Right.
You know, win, loss, neutral, whatever. It's special. And I think having these dedicated moments, I'm whispering to him like, yo man, like Villa 7, I want to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or listening to you talk about having an experienced coach with 3 or 4 younger coaches around him. Like it's those things that's gonna help cats like
Right,
that.
no doubt.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Any other questions, comments?
No, I just want to piggyback off of the you know the younger and giving back is, you know, for me it's I always sense like it's a little bit of, and you mentioned it, like guys are, there's a lot of jealousy and a lot of guys that don't want to give back because they may feel a certain way that people are going to take theirs, right? Like take your shine or take a job or feel some type of jealousy in this whole thing, and so they guard themselves to the shallowness of a, you good? Oh, I'm good. Like, and as opposed to this, or I'm not patting myself on the back, but like the fact of like back in the day of doing the games and playing pickup, of really trying to connect with people, because that was what I felt as a guy coming up in this thing was to give back. Like I generally feel like a Dalton that we worked together at Indiana State. It's my duty to try to give back to him and help in any way that I can. Anybody that's been around, there was another gentleman here earlier tonight, Nick Healy, that was here, that I feel like it was my duty to try to help and give back to those dudes, like generally, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot to that where people, in my opinion, don't feel like they can, because they feel like, I'm going to take yours. I'm going to try to get these jobs, or I'm going to, you know, like that's you know, I think that's a lot of the part that's really frustrating for me to see.
The game is to be told, not sold. Actually, no. Snoop Dogg's album, and I always had an issue with Snoop's album, because Snoop's album was actually the game is to be sold, not told. And I was challenged by that. Because I'm like, I think that's the issue. I think we selling the game instead of telling the game. And so listening to that, like from an occupational standpoint, skill development, grad assistant, like literally figuring this thing out. What do I do? Do I get into a Dobo role? Do I get into a VC role? Do I go to a Division II or Division III level? Like you're figuring this thing out. Assistant coach long term, head coach at a Division III level, head coach at a Division I level, former head coach, assistant coach. Like all of us show up in these different spaces, yet I think the common thread between all of us is starting with the give instead of starting with the get. I think a lot of us, some like these two dudes and some of us in there have heard me use this analogy of G2G. I give in order to get, in order to give again. But it starts with the give. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you got a lot of dudes out here starting with the get, and that's the issue. You got a lot of dudes out here I'm selling the game instead of telling the game, and that's the issue. And now that's leaving cats like Dalton and cats like all of us out here trying to either figure it out on our own or feel like we're isolated in this space.
Message.
D, specifically for you, we joke about it. You can't walk 30 yards without somebody stopping you, or you stopping somebody. Like it's natural, especially for you being in the position and you having the success that you had this year. How do you do it, bro? How do you decipher between the and the real? Because I can only imagine it's a thin line for you.
Yeah, it is a thin line. I'm just aware. I'm aware at a different level, and I know who I am, but I know who my people are. And I associate and gravitate towards my people for whatever reason. And those that are not my people, I try to, I hate to say it, but it is more shallow. It's not fake, but it's more shallow in content. It's more shallow in, hey, I want to hurry up and get away from this person per se so I can be with my people, especially in this space, because we don't have this space and this opportunity very long, right? Like the championship game will be Monday. Everybody's going to be home. Monday, you're probably going to be back to the grind in terms of making phone calls. And by next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to be out on the road recruiting again. And so to understand this opportunity is completely different. And it does happen, you know, and I will say this also, it's I don't want to say it's a good feeling, but it's rewarding. It kind of shows you that what you're doing and what you're about, it does mean something, and it does have an impact at some level, but it also has a negative impact because there's a lot of people here that don't want to see you have success. And they are preying on your job, preying on your opportunity. So it's twofold. And I think for every reaction, for every action, there's a reaction. You know, and I think you just got to be aware. And I'm super aware a lot of times. I think I've seen two other head coaches by themselves multiple times, and I admire them. I stand in awe. I'm like, dang, he by himself again. And people don't understand how peaceful that actually is when you are by yourself and you're not on and entertaining other people. It's a different sensation and a different feeling. But I appreciate all of the adulation because obviously you could be on the other side where you kicking cans, trying to figure out what's what.
Anybody, anything?
I mean, to add, one, Jake, I say this to you all the time, but I think I found out what I could tell people you do, right? Like I heard you saying when you were speaking, like, what do you say that he does? But I think what you do is you create these spaces that go against what the world is comfortable doing. And I think number one, that's what you did tonight. And I said in several ways, even hitting Bryce, even, you know, tapping Marlon, like sitting next to Kareem, like, man, this is cool. Like, I'd much rather do this than be in a bar. And then two, like to what Kareem said, K. Rich, like, you know, I think, and DT, you said this a little bit as well, like we place too much value on what's on these shirts. When in reality, the real game, when this ends, is where do we go when it ends, right? And no one's going to say when it's done, Division I coach, Division II coach, Division III coach, assistant coach, GA. They're going to say literally, who were you while you were here? Who were you? And I think for me, it's like, what scoreboard are you looking at? Are you looking at the one that the hoop dirt coaches changes where every single day there's an update and you're trying to figure out what's going on? Or are you truly in this to just make someone else's life better? And I think for me, I could care less about any of that stuff because I know that when I walk into a room, I belong, and I know my belonging is the purpose of it is to truly, you know, like I love that you still hit me and say, hey Mo, I know I ain't gonna curse. Like I'm not gonna try to curse. No, seriously, because I know it's not like, hey, I don't wanna let this guy down. It's because I create a presence for you where you're like, man, I feel like if I do that, I'm going against what I said I'm trying to be better, which I've never judged you and you know that. But like I share with you, like I had a terrible like mouth. Like I use those words constantly because that's what I heard at home. Like that's all I know is expressing my way that way. And like I gave that to God, I gave that to him and just said, look, I don't want to be that way anymore. Show me something different. Put me around people that's different. So for you to say that, like that literally tells me I must be doing something right. I must be something. Because in my head, I'm like, I still will let something fly. You just want to hear it. But I think again, man, we place too much value on things that don't really matter. You know, and I think you can't let the opinions that people that don't matter too much. And I think we allow that to happen way too much.
Bars.
Message!
Every time I hear it.
I think I'm piggybacking on what you're saying. I was with James yesterday.
Yeah.
We were at a bar for some sort of JUCO, some sort of coach or something. He told me about it, and we go in there, and you know, it's just parlays, a bunch of dudes. No problem with that, but you know, we're just in there, and you know, my boy's single. I'm married, so he's like, where the girl, you know, he's trying to figure out the room, and then we're, you know, we get a drink, and we're standing there, and I'm looking around the room, and it's like, I get it, we're at NCAA Final Four, but everybody in there got a shirt on, and and I just had on a plain t-shirt, and I could have put on a polo, and, you know, but I was like, I just want to flow. And it's like everybody they're puffed up about what is on their shirt on that left side. And you know, a guy talked to me, and while I'm ordering a drink, he's like in my ear, hey, what do you do with it? And I'm like, but it reminded me of so much what I got out of, because before coaching, I was in corporate America. And I did that in corporate because it was, you know, going to a corporate event to get a new sales job, to get up the ranking, and and how am I going to get ahead and make more money, and the status, the accolades. And I got out of that because I was like, this isn't fulfilling. It's not purpose driven. And so when I was figuring out years ago what I want to change to, I was like, man, what I love is what I've been doing all my life, playing basketball and impacting young men's lives. And so when I got into coaching and I'm seeing this, and then I'm even looking around the room, and I was joking with Jay, and I'm like, this dude ain't never touched a basketball in his life. Like, I'm looking at him like, he probably ain't never hooped in his life. No diss to that, but it's like, what are we really doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are we even really in this space? Is it about just because I'm trying to get ahead? You know, and this is sexy now, because coaching 10 years ago, what is it now? You know, the assistant coach and the head coach wasn't making the same money they were now. So it's not as sexy, and it's still not, when you really think about it, for a lot of guys, to sleeping on the mattress, to the tub, you know, when you really pull back the layers, a lot of it, you really had to do some shit to get to where you were at and go through some stuff. You know, and so when we really get to it, it's like, what are we really doing? Are we here really ultimately to make an impact on the next generation and these young men that that their eyes are so bugged out to whatever we tell them, they're going to do it? Or are we just trying to, you know, represent what's on our shirt?
Yeah.
At the sake of losing our, you know, self-worth a lot of times. So, you know, that's the value I saw in coming here and connecting with y'all, and still do. It's just like the conversations, and even if it's short for a couple of hours, you know, it's impactful, you know.
It's listening to you, Reem, it's pretty cool. I told him the whole time, I'm gonna be on your hip. Dalton told me the whole time, Jay, I'm gonna be on your hip. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we've been on his hip, you know, and we walk in, and Mo and Marlon and Dalton and I, we're at the convention yesterday, yesterday, Friday, and you know, they got the vendors up and everything going on, and as I walk in, one of the first thing that Mo says to me is, yo, man, why you don't have no, you know, not in a questioning way, but more of a challenging way. Like, if Dr. Dish and NOLA can have a booth set up, why don't you have a booth set up? Cool. 2023 Houston, there will be a Jason Wells Experience booth set up.
Yeah.
On top of watching D talk on the court this morning, I'm gonna do that too. You know what I'm saying? And not from a standpoint of, and this was a conversation with Mo. Every coach that walked past don't need a NOLA machine or Dr. Dish, and that doesn't stop them from being great businesses. Most coaches, and I'm aware of this, most coaches don't want what I do or aren't open to what I do. But for the ones who are, in whatever facet and capacity we do it in, that's gonna happen. It's gotta happen. It's gotta happen, because I feel like it's more of us than we give credit to. I think that's been known, because we can look around and we know that it's cats that we got access to on whether it's our Sunday night calls or whether it's cats that listen to the podcast that ain't sitting in this room, and the only reason they ain't sitting in this room is because they not here. In New Orleans is what I mean. Question as we go. I wouldn't be me if I ain't challenged, and I'm gonna go in that sense. What have you been most challenged with recently? As a man, whatever phase in your life you in, as a coach, What you been most challenged with recently? Pick a time frame. Could be 7 hours, 7 days, 7 weeks. What you been most challenged with? Mar, why you laughing, dog?
I'll start that. I'll start that. It's we've us three have talked a lot. From two facets is from a fatherhood of trying to raise. You just had your boys in here, turning 15 years old and whatnot. And got my son who lives with me who's 17, and then I got a younger one that's 12. And so that challenge of been going through some stuff, especially with the 17-year-old who lives with me that is tough as a father, and some aspects of, shoot, this is what raising a young man, and this is what I signed up to do in terms of he coming to live with me for the last 3 years, and it's been no joke, but sticking in there and trying to stay and understand this is the purpose of my fatherhood at the time that I'm supposed to do has been very challenging. And then the whole, and I'll be honest with you, transparently, as a coach who's been in it for 24 years, of going from, I've been at all different types of levels, and former head coach, and anybody that knows me, I don't have much of an ego, but there is a point where you kind of feel like your value isn't worth in your position. Mm-hmm. And so there's that challenge. That's been a challenge for me really the whole year. And that's sometimes you kind of, for me, it's like kind of question like, damn, did I lose like my ability to do this thing at a high level, or is it just time, place, space, or whatever? So those have been two of the challenges from a personal and a professional standpoint.
This cat just said, my bad. This cat just said, personally challenged with fatherhood and that whole dynamic, and professionally challenged with the ego, for lack of a better word. I don't think that's a selfish word. It's like that's more, on the Glimpse call specifically, we talk about selfish. Like, everybody's selfish. Everybody want what they want. Like, ain't nothing wrong with that. It's when you do it out of disrespect and a disregard to other people that it becomes negative. But the challenge of, here you are at a Power 5 school, questioning yourself. Mm-hmm. That's absurd, but I say it's absurd because how many dudes is scratching, clawing, doing crazy shit to be in your position, yet you in your position with your own set of problems. That's big time, man. Appreciate the transparency. You had something?
No, I was going to piggyback actually off of what Kareem said, but more so even what you said. The cliche of the grass is always greener on the other side is never true. Mm. For a real vulnerability moment in terms of the success that we've had, I'll just say, be selfish, the success that I've experienced the last, 2.5 weeks, there's still the same questions that you just said professionally, and they leak into the personal department because you start questioning how valuable are you. You start looking at other people and saying, damn, they get that, and I've done this. And so you seek a level of validation because of what you've done. And because of what you've done, like most people around here, I saw somebody in the car, and I really don't do this. I saw somebody in the car, and I was walking. I think I just left you guys. I was walking to my hotel, and they was like, oh, they were the coach from Cal State Fullerton. And to me, I'm like, man, if you only knew how low I feel right now. Mm. How low I feel right now. And it was 4 dudes in the car. They were all excited, and I was trying to, be who I'm supposed to be for them. Mm. But I really wanted to tell them, like, you have no idea how low I feel. right now. And it goes back to your sense of value, your sense of validation, whether it's personally or professionally. For me, I'm struggling with what that looks like. Like I should be on cloud 9 and I should be all excited. And we get this ring, we get that ring. I don't feel like a champion.
So let me ask you this, D, and anybody, but just because you said this, so let's take time out of it. You walking in the car, cool. The timing of that don't necessarily set up. But what's stopping you from having that conversation of, yo, young fella, man, let me tell you, man, you pointing and talking about what you think you've seen, but let me tell you what it's really like. Like, what's stopping that?
Just because they made a laugh and kept that thing called a hotel bed was following me like a mug.
Apparently you're looking out.
Yeah, but to answer your question, like, those are the real conversations when you get dapped up and you say, how you doing? I'm not well.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for that? You ready to have a conversation for that? Now, do you think less of me because I said that? There's all kinds of trap questions involved in that. And I have no problem with the level, like as clear as that window is, I will be honest and frank and tell you everything that I'm going through and everything that I'm experiencing, not to say you can't, not to say you don't want to, but just to put it in front of you to say, be careful what you ask for. Mm-hmm. There's a gospel singer, and I cannot think of her name, but I can see her face. And she was singing a song, and I forget what the song was, but she said, you see me now. You didn't see me last year, last month, 10 years ago. You see me now, I'm all suited and booted, and I look fresh, but it ain't a fresh feeling. Mm-hmm. And that resonated with me in terms of when she said that, and it's something that has always stuck with me because it just typifies what some of those days are like for me. Now, I'm not saying every day is like that because I'm blessed beyond belief and I'm not belly aching, but I'm belly aching. But man, it's a different sensation. It's a different connotation because you see what you see now. You didn't see when we was 4 and 6 and I was pulling my hair out. And literally, I'm bald headed. And I'm like trying to grasp at something, and I'm waking up in the morning and I'm ready to fight. Nobody saw that.
That's our reference.
Nobody saw that.
Reference.
Nobody saw that. But everybody's all excited. Oh, you did a great job, man. Literally, we won. And after the game, I was ready to fight somebody in the stands.
Real talk.
Because they was talking to one of my players all crazy.
Sideways.
And I'm like ready to get after the dude. And I couldn't even appreciate it and celebrate it because I'm so aware and so sensitive, I guess is the word, to what winning actually does and what it means. So
it's fun. I'm not, but to kind of going with that, for me, it's like the people not understanding, like I don't want this to know this as I look around, like I come to Final Four and I never wear anything with my logo on it.
Smart.
Never.
Smart.
And it's and my reason for that is I want people to be able to talk to me and respect me because they know who I am, not because of what's on my chest or whatever. So anybody that speaks to me at the Final Four, they know who K. Rich is. You know what I mean? Like anybody like, oh, you're a Clint. Oh, good year. We ain't have a good year. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like if you speak to me, it's because you know me.
Hey, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna cut you off, Bryce. I'll do the same thing. I didn't come down with anything with Binghamton when I was at Ryder. I didn't have anything with Ryder. St. Peter's, the same thing when I was there. For that same reason. Because if they see, people think they know me, right? Same thing that we spoke about. Yo, what's up, man? Great year. And we won 6 games. Right? Fuck was great about that.
There we go.
Right.
Now it's really go.
Ain't
They just came out of here. Catch it and bring it back.
because you said Ryder, man. When you see Ryder.
Go ahead, Bryce.
one, I'm really impressed with y'all's wardrobe budget because I don't really have that many clothes that don't say Utah State. I've been Under Armour for a long time, and I really wanted some forces. I hadn't had a pair of forces my whole life, so I got 2 pairs, and it was all my Nike money. So that's all I got left.
Some Nike stuff.
But like, listen, you'll talk about that, right? It's certainly with the vulnerability, like Eric, like the what you talk about is would be exactly what I'm dealing with, right? Like my kids are younger, right? But my kids are getting older enough to where it's like it's not just keeping them alive anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like make sure they don't eat something they're not supposed to have, or like fall down the stairs. Like I gotta be able to teach them. You know, and with much more an intentional mindset, right? And then me understanding, like, okay, making sure, even what you're saying, Raym, is like, I've got to walk out my gifts, dreams through my lens and what I think the Lord's put on my heart, and like as opposed to others, right? But all that being said, right, like it shows the value of community, right? And like my biggest flaw, where I really hurt myself, is when I isolate. And that's generally my what I do if I'm having a hard time. Right? I'm like, I'm okay, I'm gonna grind this out. I'm gonna call the only person I really will call, it's not my wife, I call Mo. But it's really hard. And like to have to carry that weight on your shoulders. And we all know what that feels like, especially as a man, I think. Like we really want to do it even more. And we hold that weight on our shoulders and it beats you down. Right. And so it's like it's so important again for these kinds of things, right? But like they don't have people in your circle that have your back. That when you say like I'm having a really hard time, they armed already, and they got whether it is to listen or whether it is to like provide some advice or because sometimes like Nemo was talking about the other day, he was like, man, this is one of those moments I'm not supposed to say anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like those people, you need those people in your life that know when. Or you can at least say, I don't need you to say, shut up, but let me get this out. And then you can have that communication and then it continues and move forward.
Yeah, really quick, I want just because of Jayson, he's created this space, and because of him, I know him. But the space that he's created, in my opinion, it has allowed us to do what I think is the most important thing, is to communicate so that we don't self-isolate. I think we all suffer from isolation in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I'm probably the worst at it because I like it. I covet it. I want to be by myself, which is the way wrong thing to do. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're by yourself, who are you talking to? Who's listening? And I'm not talking to you, I'm looking at you, but I'm really looking at that thing because I can see myself, and that's the person that I'm talking to. Because those moments are when you're most vulnerable, because you're listening to yourself. Talk to yourself. And I used to laugh, and I used to think, that's just crazy, that's funny. No, that's serious. Like if I don't get stuff out, and thank God, Mo talks to me every morning at 7 a.m. Every morning. And if he doesn't, if I don't hear that voice, there's no telling. I feel bad for some people that are walking by me in the morning because I might close on them. And it'd be like 6:45, 6:30 in the morning, and I'd be sweating profusely. Not because I'm working hard, but because I'd be so mad. So mad. And he can feel it. He can feel it through the phone, and he's 70,000 miles away. But he's like, you own one today, huh? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to stomp somebody. But that's just my own.
Jay, if I can add one thing, and I'm done.
Yeah.
I think it's important we understand isolation is darkness, and darkness is comfort. It's comfortable to be dark. Reason why we like to sleep, most of us sleep better in the dark, is because it's more comfortable. And my pastor uses this reference.
Message!
But like my pastor uses this reference. If you cut on a light to somebody sleeping, they're not mad at you for hitting that light. They're mad because the darkness that they were comfortable in has been disturbed. And the spaces that you create, you cut lights on. But instead of them being disturbed by the light, that space is now surrounded by others. And DT, that's all I do every morning is when the lights cut on. You're pissed, but you're not by yourself because I'm right there with you. And just sharing that, because Isolation Island is a dangerous place, but there's a reason why it's comfortable. Darkness is comfortable. So.
Go send that text, man. Please do. That would be my message on Monday.
Yeah. It goes to your face mask that Mo always referenced in terms of you put a mask on because you don't want anybody to see it yet. You don't want them to see the vulnerability. You don't want them to see anything that you're going through as a man. You hide from it. But then at some point it comes off, and when it does come off, it can be a scary sight. Not because I'm just ugly.
I said it on a call, and I know we wrapping on time, but 4 years ago now, we stood in your kitchen in Kansas City, and shit, it's wild even thinking about it, because as we stood in that kitchen, we stood in an empty ass kitchen. And it was empty for a couple different reasons. It's empty because you on your way out. It's empty because your marriage was disintegrating. You know what I'm saying? And I told you, I said, yo, bro, I got this vision of starting with you, my quote unquote best friend. I got this vision of, I was in this space of light. And I wasn't even in a great space, but I saw the light. And I was like, I got this vision of having the dudes that are around me, especially the dudes that's closest to me, feeling like I feel, is standing in his kitchen. And to be 4 years removed from that and have even this happen, knowing that we might have some dudes that could be here or should be here or whatever, it's wild to me, man. It's wild to me to know that this is still just our second time being in the same space. First time being in the same space, just met 24 hours ago. Been in the same space, and now we're starting to really form a friendship, reforming a friendship after moving away, and all like 15 months ago, I didn't even know the dude.
Now you on the staff, yo.
Damn
It's
near.
great to see you on that bench.
Hype man, like you teed up.
I'm gonna say this, and then if y'all got anything, and I'm gonna restrict it for just time purposes to these two, but money moment, this space, man. Bryce, we had a conversation earlier today, of which, bro, I looked at you and you were physically shook, for lack of a better word, after listening to the book. And I intentionally didn't bring that up because that can be a whole nother episode or two. But to know that I could stand there and you trusted me enough to be able to share that moment, that was powerful for me. Or Dalton, man, we invite you into all these spaces, and as much as I want you to talk, I so appreciate the fact that you don't want to talk, because like, shit, I want to sit here and absorb all of this, because I think we can look around the room and we can each say in some way, shape, or form at 23, we ain't had this. Not like this. So that's my money moment. Y'all got anything as far as money moments?
Well, come on.
Don't nothing change because we're in person, though.
You said this, maybe it was on here or our call, I don't know. But I get this from my mother says this too, sit at the feet of elders. And
My big mama told me that.
there you go. Well, I'm not going to call my mama big, but anyway.
Big mama.
There you go. But I understand it. But sitting at the feet of elders, and I think that's what Dalton's doing. I think what I try to do with this space is I try to listen. And again, I share with you guys a space where I was talking to that young man about making him feel good, but I also felt he felt that way because I was listening. I was listening. I've never been around you, but I'm watching you. I'm watching you. And I think you do an elite job of making people feel like they're heard. Like the amount of people that have seen you and have been like, hey, what's that dude's name again? Jay Wells, can I get his number? And it wasn't because of your height. It wasn't because of your shoes, which those are fly. It's not what he had on when he came out here. But it's because of how you make them feel. Seriously. And I think not only do you do that, but you give that to others. You give that to our teams that work with you. with the active listening. Tell me more. And I think that's just a gift. And I think my money moment is just continue to sit with you guys. K Rich, just hearing your story. And again, please take my number down. I love to continue to connect with you. But yeah, just continuing to just sit and hear wisdom and just listen and actively listen is my money moment. And to this guy too. That's a wise guy here.
Bring us home.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I just want to continue to operate in this space and move it forward. Let other people know that this exists. This type of vulnerability. This type
What?
Of
We get to invite other people?
I didn't say that.
You're always the one.
And since you brought that up, I'm gonna say this: if you get his number, make sure it's not from 10 to East Coast time, because that's my time. But I said I'm gonna continue what we're doing here. I didn't say invite. No,
Okay.
we ain't. What?
Nah.
Don't get kidney punch.
Yeah. This is it, man. This is why I do what we do, why we do what we do. Fellas, I appreciate you all the way across the board. Reem, Dalton, Bryce, Mar, obviously Mo, DT, K Rich, I appreciate y'all. We about to bring it in. For those of us that know, we about to bring it in like Martin. Come on, we about to bro hug in here. We about to, come on. Everybody in here. Y'all remember that. Everybody in here.